Just reflecting back on the UMass week, kind of thought you guys asked if I was worried about anything going into the game, but, our kids were locked in. They were focused on, getting their job done. Felt it during the week. They'll be locked in this week as well, obviously. But, you talk about a 4-quarter, 60-minute game. I really, was happy with the way the guys came out. As we watched tape yesterday, offensively, defensively, and special teams, there's little things we can work on, but their attitude was great. Their focus was great, and really their effort for the most part was pretty good. I can pull a guy here or there and call out some loafs in all 3 phases that we've got to clean up. We were excited where we were. Offensively, just looking at, the one thing I think I take note of, and, they did a good job adjusting our offense. Coach Borbley, Coach Salem, we didn't see much 3-down, if any 3-down going into it. They played a lot of man coverage as far as just man-free, played a lot more zone coverage, which was good. And so we were able to adjust on the run. Receivers had to adjust on the run based on what we were seeing, and it was a good starter for the season. So that's kind of where we're there. Moving into Tennessee, obviously, the Johnny Majors Classic. I love it. I like it the best because I've had a relationship with Coach Majors from his time spent here at Pitt and the days he's been here to visit, the university he loved here, spent a couple flights with him, spent a lot of time with him at some of the Nike clinics that he was heavily involved in through his retirement years, I guess. And I think it's a great thing in honor of the Major family. So we're excited about that. And again, we got a Tennessee team that, we haven't played the personnel there, but, Josh Heupel coming from UCF and having 2 games with them, I think gives us a little bit of an advantage, gives them an advantage as well because they know who we are on both sides of the ball. They saw Pitt special, so they'll be ready for the Pitt special. We'll be ready for the tempo, and I think it's going to be a heck of a game. So I'll open it up for questions.
How much does, obviously you've seen one game, but how much does this Tennessee offense look like what they had in UCF?
It looks, very similar. I'm sure they'll have some tweaks for us, maybe that they didn't show in the first game, but very similar. I think they're snapping the ball faster. I mean, we've got probably an average of 11 seconds they're snapping the ball on offense. Defensively, they're a little different than they were in the past. I mean, Tim Banks came from Penn State, so their defensive coordinator. So there was a lot of look like them as far as playing a lot of man free, a lot of 4 down, and a lot of different variations in coverage, which I'm sure we'll see a few just to try to confuse Kenny a little bit.
What did you see from Milton, and how much does his size make him difficult to defend?
His size and athleticism and that cannon arm he's got makes it different. But obviously a transfer from Michigan, he's 6'5", he's 240, he can run. He's a big athlete that we're going to have to get down. One guy might not get him down, so we're going to have to get 2, 3, 4 guys there. We're going to have to run to the ball, and then we're going to have to get home quickly because they will snap it between 7 and 10 seconds.
Now, with a quarterback like that, how nice is it to have a group of linebackers that's so experienced and have played so many games?
It helps, when you look at our linebacker crew, they've played, in the tempo, especially Phil and Cam, they're used to that. How many of our guys went, played against them fast tempo-wise. In our secondary, Damari's played in it, but a lot of the other guys haven't played in the tempo. So we'll give them a good taste of how fast it's going to be this week. Our scout team, our look team, has to do a great job this week of giving us a fast look, and not only getting the plays off fast, but executing them as well, so we can, get the look we need to get it.
You mentioned Tim Banks. I know he wasn't calling plays 2 years ago. Did that film against Penn State in 19 help you?
Yeah, he's heavily involved in the game plan, and there's rumors that he may have been calling some of it as well. So, I think he had a lot of input. He's been a coordinator before, so there'll be a lot of similarities.
The numbers were good with the running game on Saturday. What did your eyeball tests tell you about the backs and the line, how they did?
We got some guys that made some nice runs. We got a lot of guys involved in the run game, so I was happy with the backs for the most part, and they made the right reads. And sometimes that's as big a problem as any. Is just making sure you're reading the right thing, especially versus a different front that we had not seen. So there was carryover from fall camp, I think, as far as the run game goes, and again, our O-line did a good job, and they did a good job adjusting to some of the things they were doing I mean, they were lined up in a 3 down, but they're moving things a certain way that we had to maybe combo a little bit different, up to the backers and make sure we get a hat on the Mike linebacker. And that's that's something that you don't prepare for going into the game. You don't know what you're going to see, but you're prepared to make those adjustments as they go. And Coach Borbley did a good job of even after that 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 of just adjusting how we're going to make sure we take care of that front, that stunt, that blitz that they were giving us based on the formation.
Great to find a bell cow running back.
Maybe I'd like to have 3 or 4 of them, but we'll eventually find 1 or 2. But you're gonna play 2 or 3 backs. You're gonna keep them fresh. We go tempo; they're gonna need blows, and you'd like to have 2 or 3 of them that you feel really good about going in the game, and we feel that right now.
How do you feel about your 2 new safeties? And I remember that game here against UCF, you talked about how important it was for you when you had Paris and DeMar there to be able to stay in base defense against this offense that can play those safeties. What do you think of those 2 guys last week, and how important is what they're going to do this week?
Yeah, I mean, there's all 11 are important. Those 2 corners are important too because they like to throw some fade balls as well. But the safeties are just as critical as those outside linebackers getting reroutes and stopping the run. I mean, their fits are going to be important across the board. So, got a lot of confidence in Brandon Hill and Eric Hallett and Rashad Battle played okay, not as good as he wants to, but that's his first game. I talk about the improvement from week 1 to week 2. Some of those guys that haven't played and been in that situation will play. They'll make the biggest improvement. Is it going to be 5%, 10% better just having that game experience under the belt on the hash, seeing what they did wrong in a real scrimmage, really game situation as opposed to a scrimmage. I think that really helps.
With the offensive line, what are some of the matches you guys looking up front? Because you guys you feel like you adjusted and sort of imposed your will, and especially in the second half against UMass. But what are the things you look at? You gotta get this guy and make sure you get him off the ball this week.
Yeah, I mean, again, was happy with the O-line, but now we're blocking some different dudes up front. We're going to see 4 down most of the time, and we just got to play with better leverage and communicate all the way together. And that's some of the things, just communication-wise with the different fronts, getting everybody on the same page.
The offensive line, how do you think Blake and Matt Gonzalez played?
They played good. I mean, when I look back, Matt had some quality reps in there, and so did Blake. Blake didn't get as many just because of the different front, and we were really busy adjusting during the series. As I know Coach Bors wanted to give him a little bit more. I think he had like 27 snaps or something like that, and Marcus Minor had 54 or something, if I recall. So we wanted to get Blake a few more. We'll get him a few more this weekend, and but we were happy with the way. Really, there was nobody that had a losing grade, put it that way, and that's a good thing.
You kind of. Said the defensive ends could have done a little bit better after the game, or since alluded to that. But what were some of the others you had time to look at the tape? What were some of the things that you wanted to see different? I know Desmond wasn't among that, but what did you see that you wanted to see better this year?
I think there was a lot of thinking. The guy's not playing as fast. And again, how about getting his first start? I think maybe he had 1 start in the past, but John Morgan played a lot of football for us, and but just consistency and playing fast. And maybe they didn't play as fast as we need them to play, and maybe again you're trying to prepare for everything, so they have all these things on their menu of things to worry about. So we'll get them playing a little bit faster this week. I think that's the big thing, is not thinking so much and react to what you see. Don't try to think, hey, I think they're going to come with this next because of this set. So there's a lot of that, with all the things we try to cover during the week for an opener that you don't know much about.
Despite the familiarity with Heupel and Banks and everything, Tennessee lost a lot of guys to the portal. How difficult is it from a personnel standpoint of having this team?
It's a lot easier than last week when you got game tape. I mean, you got a whole game on who they are. I think their offensive line is big and physical. They look like an SEC offensive line. Those top 5 guys that played a bunch, are big. They're strong. They know what they're doing. It'll be a bigger challenge than Josh Heupel's teams at UCF as far as the O-line goes. And their backs are good. So I mean, we've got enough tape on them to know who they are right now. I don't think they held anybody out in that game. So we'll know, where their speed is, where the concerns are, and where they like to throw the ball, and what they want to do in the run game.
Desmond expected to be.
We think he's getting closer. Yeah, we'll see.
So
Might be a week out. I don't know.
So Rossi almost he can move outside if you need him, but is he basically a middle linebacker now?
No, he's both. He's both. We only had 54 plays on defense, so we had 7 3 and outs. So we just didn't get into multiple reps. But when we do want to sub, we can play them both.
Does he get most of his reps in practice in the middle?
I would say 75%.
Hey, you mentioned with the few defensive players that were kind of thinking out there. How about with attrition? He seemed like a guy that was reacting and playing fast.
Yeah, John played fast and did some good things, but John had his moments too. From the coach's film compared to what you might see on tape, and you look at production. Sometimes production doesn't say everything, but John played good. I mean, I look at where he was this year in the opener compared to how he wasn't ready a year ago. From a switch from safety to linebacker, he is playing at a high level right now, and it's great because you're able to get him and Cam out there at different times and keep them fresh. And keeping them fresh this week with the tempo, and we ran 54 plays on defense. I believe Tennessee ran 94 plays on offense. So we're going to play 2 games this week, and that's going to be the difference. So we'll need substitutes.
Did they had 84,000 at their opener? It's been a while since you've been in a stadium like that in a hostile environment. Anything special you'll do with crowd noise or anything like that at practice this week?
Yeah, we'll have crowd noise. That'll be the big thing offensively, but we've worked that during camp as well. So this is not the first time that we're going to work the loud crowd noise. We've had it during camp, and we prepared for it already. So that was something just situationally, whether it's third down, working the red zone, and working noise. We've done it before, so we'll be prepared and we'll be ready to go. Anytime we've had noise issues or noisy games, for our offense, our guys have stepped up and done a nice job. So they'll be prepared for it and should not be an issue.
How'd you evaluate the kicking game?
We got 2 kickers out there. Start off with the kicking game, the kickoffs. I think Ben Salt did a good job. I mean, the first one he knocks out. I don't know how many touchbacks he had, but he wasn't as consistent. We'd like to have a little bit more hang time when he doesn't kick it in the end zone. So looking at that, and Sam was good. I mean, was he great? I wish he wouldn't miss an extra point. So that'll be something that we'll have to look at. And I think they both have the ability to kick field goals. And again, Sam will go into it being our starter again this week at the kicking spot, and we just look to for those guys to have that first game under the belt and get some kicks in. And I really didn't want Sam's first kick to be a field goal. I wanted it to be an extra point right down the middle, and that's what we were able to get. At least get him comfortable, and then he was able to hit his first field goal.
I know you're happy with how the O-line adjusted during the game, but what about the actual physicality, head-on-head type of blocking? Was it better than you saw last year?
I didn't go back and look at it, but they did a lot of movement up front. So I mean, physicality. It's hard in this game when everybody's moving. You'd like to, if they just would sit there, like statues and not move. You can be a lot more physical. But when people are moving around, you're going to have to make sure that you're in position to not just whiff on the block. Okay, you go freaking crazy trying to knock him off the ball, and he goes that way, and you're going that way. I mean, back in the days, you used to have white knuckles. Nobody's got white knuckles anymore because things are moving. So you're not getting the physicality that you really like because people move all the time. And our offense is used to that with as much movement and pressure that we give them in practice every day. So, but we're they got movement and the backs got seams at times.
Last year, when Elijah had a really good start to the season, you brought up how you kind of needed to figure out you need to practice every day so you can grow up.
He's there.
Okay.
He is there. He played really well up front. I think he was our player of the week on defense. You watch him, play with good feet, lock out and shed blocks. I mean, he looked like an all ACC performer on Saturday. Now we got to do it against, an SEC opponent this week.
How did Izzy grade out?
I don't have all the grades in front of me, Jared, but Izzy played well. I mean, I think he was probably high average. Like I don't think any of our tailbacks we could say were winning, but Izzy played well.
When it comes to the environment down there this weekend, how nice is it to have guys like Kenny and the seniors who have played in road atmospheres?
It's really nice, especially at that quarterback spot and on offense, because they're going to have to deal with the crowd noise and everything that goes with it. And I know Kenny's looking forward to that kind of atmosphere and playing big against a big team. He didn't, he missed the Miami game last year. We played in the Clemson game last year with just 2 offensive linemen that were starters, and so I know this is why he came back for one of these games.
John Patricia was saying how much he loves that role coming in on third downs. Was that something that he was lobbying for? How did you identify him as an option? Because you used safeties at that spot in the past. He's now, I guess, technically a linebacker.
Yeah, I mean, he's a former safety. He's a hybrid type guy, as Cam is, but he's done more of the secondary stuff. We feel good with some of the skill things he does back there. But again, we've got other guys that can go in that role as well. So you may even see a different package with with maybe him not in the game and putting another DB out there with all the skill we're going to see on the field. So and maybe a nickel package just to make sure that we can handle the speed. We're not going to go to just playing 3 linebackers or 4 linebackers the whole game. I don't think that'd be smart.
How high of a ceiling do you think Lucas Cole has, just talking this season? I'm not talking about the NFL, this is season.
I think he'd have a great year, but I'm not worried about the whole season. I'm worried about just this weekend and him. I think he's got a lot of confidence. He's in early watching tape today with the quarterbacks, and I think I think he's got confidence. That's the main thing. I mean, you come out there, he's feeling good, he's healthy, and he did a good job blocking. He did a great job catching the ball. And, didn't have any drops, and that was something he did a year ago. So I think he's feeling great, and I think he's got a big upside. He can be an all ACC tight end.
And how about him as a leader? He said he's making sure he spends time around Gavin and working with him. Do you see a lot of those attributes from him?
Yeah, I mean he's on our leadership council, our Eagles, and he's in charge of those guys. I mean he's an older guy that's does a great job communicating. He will voice his opinion in meetings and with those tight ends. So he's helping develop that whole room, just like we have someone in each room that is really in charge of that room to make sure our bell cow in that room to take care of any loose ends that we might see in that room.
When you say you play crowd noise during practice, is this like the duration of practice? Is it period here, period there?
No, our team periods. I mean, we usually do 3 or 4 team periods. It'll be loud. Whether it's inside, Skelly will have noise as well. So it'll be any time we're together as a team. I mean, we don't need an individual when you guys are there, but we'll need it during the team periods for sure.
Anything final? You come out of the game pretty healthy? Not you.
I feel
sure you did. Yeah.
my knee's a little sore. No, we feel pretty good. I mean, you're always going to have your bumps and bruises, and it's a physical sport, but we came out good.
When you opened camp, you talked a lot about 11 men blocking, 10 men quarterback. But what did you see then as you got a chance to look over the whole tape as far as your receivers, your tight ends, and everyone else contributing in that point of emphasis?
Yeah, I mean, the tight ends did a pretty good job of blocking. Gavin had, for a freshman, he came in and had some, some licks on some people, and again, the receivers are going downfield making their blocks as well. So I think their secondary felt the DB or the receivers a little bit, and they're going to have to feel them this week too.